Hazbin Hotel is a show that's fundamentally about communication. There are certainly other themes throughout the show. For example, I made a whole series about substance use disorder within Hazbin Hotel. It's also not the only way characters try and solve their conflicts. There's violence in this show, copious violence. Barely an episode goes by without someone getting hit, stabbed, killed, or eaten. However, violence isn't the tool of choice that pushes the story forward. Rhetoric is. Charlie's mission as the Princess of Hell and as someone who cares about what happens to other people is to save souls from extermination. She spends 7 episodes trying to get sinners, heaven, her own father, the overlords, on board with her program. When it actually comes to blows, Charlie considers the final fight, even the fact they fought at all, to be an unequivocal failure.
This bloodshed could have been avoided if I convinced heaven to work together.
The main plot of the show is to redeem sinners and send them to heaven, even though it's never worked before, and even though there's no evidence that that can happen. Parallel to this is the equally important thread of Charlie learning to push her agenda rhetorically, even though she's not a very good public speaker. Unlike her plan to redeem sinners, for which there's no proof at all, there's plenty of evidence that rhetoric works as a tool or weapon of choice. This video series examines Charlie's Season 1 journey as a public speaker, analyzes her rhetoric, and provides a breakdown of how the chessboard is arranged, so to speak, at the end of Season 1. The world of Hazbin Hotel is full of powerful orators and communicators that exist in contrast to Charlie and show what it looks like when what she's ineptly trying to do is done well. To get a feel for how powerful these tools are when used masterfully, this video examines some of these characters in action. Alistair comes to mind immediately as an example of someone who can control a crowd, but the other overlords are also powerful speakers and information brokers. Velvet and Carmilla's interaction, especially the song Respectless, is a great case study in the use of various communications tools. As the name of the song indicates, the main thing they fight over is respect, in both senses of the word. The tension comes from the questions of who has to act with decorum and who has to treat the other as an authority. The stakes are further heightened because this is not a private confrontation but a semi-public one. Both Velvet and Carmilla have to keep in mind the fact that the way they treat each other and the way they allow themselves to be treated communicates their relative statuses to their secondary audience of onlookers as well. These layers make it a particularly strong case study to explore the contours of oratory as a means of wielding power. From the moment Velvet enters the room, she positions herself as the true authority by treating Carmilla with disdain. She enters the meeting late while in the middle of a loud phone conversation with Vox.
Yes, I've got it handled, Vox. Are you doubting me? Really? Me?
She doesn't like Vox. They seem to have a better relationship with each other than either of them has with the third member of their team, Valentino.
Just another fucking day with Val. Hey, 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 fuck my life.
But they're not.
Kisses, darling.
This is all done in the name of posturing and stretching the truth of Velvet's relationship with the other Vs to lend herself credibility. This act presents a united front and lends Velvet their authority to use in addition to her own, as she later sings,
I'm the backbone of the Vs.
She also makes attempts to belittle Carmilla and, by extension, those who follow her.
They're all a joke.
When she turns off the phone, she addresses Carmilla directly.
No, they have better shit to do than to listen to an old windbag who thinks she's tough shit.
Given this level of animosity towards Carmilla and her attendees, my follow-up question is, why does she feel the need to come to this meeting? If the other Vs have better things to do, why doesn't she? Velvet has 2 reasons for coming to the meeting, a stated agenda and an underlying intention. Velvet announces to the group that she has the head of a dead exorcist, meaning that their enemy can be killed. She explains,
if these holy rollers can be killed, the game has changed. We can take the fight to them. The boys and I have come up with a full assault plan.
So we know what she wants, even if we don't yet know why. Or is this even what she wants? Velvet says in episode 3 that she wants to bring the fight to the angels and that the guys and her have come up with a plan, but in the finale, as the main cast prepares to fight, they sit on the couch watching the fight they wanted take place without them.
Well, this just got interesting.
I'm not saying they'd be likely collaborators, especially since Vox and Valentino have personal animosity with the protagonists, just that it's weird that they're watching their fight on TV. This discrepancy may point to an ulterior motive of Velvet's. It's possible that she never intended to fight and only said as much as a way to pump Carmilla for information, and it works.
Thanks to my being respectless, one thing I'm starting to suspect is, you know why this angel's head
headless.
So I think we can pretty conclusively identify the madness behind her methods. Carmilla at first doesn't respond to these petty personal jabs because she has her own agenda. Carmilla's primary objective is to consult with the other overlords to protect their people and property.
Welcome, Hell's sovereign overlords. I've invited you all here because you represent the controlling powers of our city.
Her secondary agenda is to keep secret the fact that she's the one who killed the angel.
Mom, maybe he should know.
Nobody should know.
Throughout Velvet's meddling, she stays focused and doesn't get distracted. It's only when Velvet begins targeting her friend Zestial that Carmilla loses her composure and bursts into song in the best musical transition of the show. In musical theater, you talk until that doesn't do enough to communicate, and then you sing until emotions heighten even further, at which point you break into dance. Carmilla telegraphs her boiling rage by breaking into song.
Too senile to make a real power grab?
You better show some respect. Check your behavior. No one speaks to Zestial that way.
This crack in Carmilla's composure shows Velvet that she's getting somewhere. In fact, Velvet later uses Carmilla's protectiveness over Zestial again to provoke her.
I could eat you lot for breakfast.
Carmilla responds,
You wannabes are inane and uninformed. Smug wannabes who don't heed when you've been warned.
This song is so effective because it communicates how the characters feel and how they read and react to each other's moods and intentions to vie for power or plumb for more information. Yet, while this reading covers most of the plot important elements, it doesn't even scratch the surface as to what's going on an interpersonal level. So far, this dialogue has 3 players. Velvet attacks Zestial to get Carmilla to spill information. However, there's a 4th important character group, the other overlords. This is a semi-public confrontation, and that heightens the level of performance further. If this conversation had taken place privately, Velvet's words and actions would be rude, but only rude. In public, the kind of talk she engages in is designed to undermine the other overlord's opinion of Carmilla and Zestial.
Oh, what's the matter, fossil?
And she doesn't just put down Carmilla and Zestial, she also hypes herself and her teammates up.
Oh, I'm the backbone of the vase. I could eat you lot for breakfast.
She's trying to recruit those in Carmilla's coalition to her own agenda. While Velvet is exceptionally skilled in her rhetorical performance, Carmilla is no slouch either. There's a substantial give and take between the two throughout the song. Both Velvet and Carmilla take turns providing new information to recontextualize how their audience should interpret what's going on and to reestablish their authority in the situation. This makes for a dynamic and fun song that keeps the listener on their toes, not sure who will come out on top. As the song opens, it looks like Carmilla puts Velvet in her place.
You better show some respect. Check your behavior. No one speaks to Zestial that way.
But then Velvet recovers with the argument that there's value in action and they should seize the opportunity to fight back.
Sorry group attending. Since when are overlords too scared to fight? You're long past trending. Sorry babe, but I ain't swiping right. You lost your relevance.
We can't act without more intelligence.
Ugh, no wonder I'm so respectless. I could eat you lot for breakfast.
The first time I saw that line of argument, I thought Carmilla was toast. I certainly couldn't recover from that, at least not in real time, but then I'm not as skilled as Carmilla, who manages to undermine this messaging by recharacterizing Velvet and the V's as having more power than maturity, saying,
You and the V's are inane and uninformed. Smug wannabes who don't heed when you've been warned.
It looks like she put Velvet in her place, only for us to see that it was a trap. Zestial was the bait, and Carmilla couldn't help but defend him and draw public attention to the fact that she's overly invested in not picking a fight with heaven.
Oops, did I strike a nerve? Cause when I brought out the angel's head, couldn't help but observe that your wrinkled face was turning red. And why are you avoiding war? That's what the guns you sell are for. Thanks to my being respectless, one thing I'm starting to suspect is, you know why this angel's headless? Do you have a disclosure?
Whether or not this is true, it is. This is how it seems to the audience of fellow overlords, including our boy Alistair, who then seizes on the opportunity to learn more. This scene is only one case study to represent just how powerful oratory gets in this show, and how Charlie's chosen weapon looks when masterfully wielded. Throughout season 1, the Overlord cast serves as a point of comparison to Charlie. Charlie wants to be as skilled as them, and isn't. She tries to leverage oratory to further her agenda, but she doesn't know how. In so many ways, the show is about her learning to talk to people, going from this.
Wait, can you? Oh, shit!
So, how'd it go?
Not a single new recruit.
What? No, the plan, Dad! What do you think about using the hotel to help sinners? Webster's dictionary defines redemption as...
Objection! Lame and unoriginal.
Fuck you old bitch!
To this.
Your honors, may I present Exhibit A. For the first time in my life, maybe I can be ready for this. I can be the marshal leading the parade. I can come into my own, and I think I've always known my destiny could never be postponed. When Adam brings the battle here, I must appear like I'm ready for this. Getting to know you has been the biggest honor of my life. Whatever redemption really means, I know you all tried.
One thing that complicates any discussion of Charlie is the fact that she's the main character and this is season 1. On one hand, season 1 was well done and we do have a complete story with conflict, growth, themes, and resolution. But on the other, we've only just gotten started. As Lucifer says,
For your story is just begun.
This means that, unlike some characters who have either had a significant arc, like Serpentius and Angel Dust, or have already completed their arc and will no longer be in the show, like Adam, we don't have all the information. With due recognition to these limitations, there is a considerable amount in season 1 to dig into. So, join me for part 2, in which we'll take a closer look at how Charlie pitches her hotel.